So I'm here with Andrew from the City of Lloydminster about their upcoming Bordering on Disaster event. So Andrew, do you want to tell us just a little bit about who is going to be at this event as well?
At our April 21st, 2023 Bordering on Disaster virtual conference, it's going to consist of two keynote speakers, one of them being Mr. Greg Selecki, and then the other one being Dr. Lilia Yumagoloba. And then to split up the two keynote speakers, we'll also be having a panelist Q&A session. So that's going to be consistent of emergency managers from throughout Alberta and Saskatchewan. So we'll have 6 in that panelist session.
And will there be an admission price possibly into this virtual event?
Virtual event, we've geared it as a $20 virtual conference. So we just think that provides really good value for all the audience that's going to be attending the conference itself. So that'll be $20. And then that's kind of catering into the September in-person conference that we're hosting here in Lloydminster. So anybody that does the $20 virtual conference will get a code for $20 off the in-person conference. That is still on early bird pricing until the first week of May. And then up to the first week of May, it's $350. And then after that, the regular admission fees will be $400.
And will there be anybody from the city attending this conference, or will it only be people from the emergency management?
Yeah, the virtual conference is certainly going to be catered towards, we're not generally looking at this as Lloydminster Emergency Management, but more of what the community and what the network is throughout Western Canada. So that will consist of emergency managers throughout all of Western Canada, and we'll probably see the same type of demographics at the in-person conference in September. We'll have a few more regional partners there, but nobody specifically from Lloydminster.
And is there anything else about the conference that you'd like to bring up that I just haven't yet?
I don't think so at this time. So the conference, we are also giving some attention to a trade show that we're going to be doing in the middle of the conference. So we're just looking at opportunity for a way for some of those exhibitors or some of those merchants to have some connection with emergency managers and showcase some of the new and industry leading products of emergency management.
Well, thank you, Andrew. And now we'll move our interview over to Greg, a keynote speaker for the upcoming Bordering on Disaster conference. So, Greg, Bordering on Disaster aims to promote and strengthen the emergency contacts. Can you tell us a little bit more on that?
When we look at that whole cycle of emergency management, whether we're speaking about mitigation, preparedness, response, recovery, that's really the areas that emergency management speaks to and where a lot of the practitioners have spent a lot of their time. I'm one that has actually moved through all of those areas as a practitioner with municipalities, with corporations now, but it's great to be able to see how they really do all influence each other's. For example, flooding for a lot of places in Canada, it's the #1 disaster really. Well, what do we do to mitigate that? What can we do? And it really goes back to budgeting. So without, having an open budget to work with all those different types of hazards, when I look at it, it's what can we do to prepare? So we know those hazards are there. We know one day they're going to impact our community. So what does that mean being prepared? Who's got the right training? Who's got the experience? Who's able to move forward in a crisis leadership role to get the best out of us when we have to respond? And then what does recover mean? And then that all goes back to the mitigation and how that cycle really turns out. So again, a lot of the people that are going to be at the conference are going to be experts in their field and speaking to all the different areas of infrastructure, recovery, crisis communications, those types of things.
And is there any other highlights of the conference that you would like to bring up yourself, Greg?
I think one of the more important things that I've learned now over a couple decades for sure within the emergency management realm is the leadership aspect. And I know we talk about a lot of the processes, methodologies that we learn in emergency management and how to apply them, but it's really about having somebody take that leadership stance, look at the crisis leadership aspect and understanding their roles. So the role of leadership within an emergency operations center, for example, is different than the role for the ongoing continuity aspect of the municipalities. So Lloydminster and the CEO, how are we going to continue on with our operations? And then there's also the elected officials and their role in leadership during the response and recovery of an incident.
And thank you so much again, Greg, for joining us for an interview today.